How to make if statement. First, you need to master conditions that you may use. And they are all about getting two values, true or false. To get it, you may use several functions. Logic operators we have covered in previous videos, so check out the link in the top right corner if you have missed it. Next, several logic functions to combine them. AND, OR, XOR, or NOT function. Are 4 functions good enough? How about several more? And I mean informational function. When I name it, I mean 12 functions that provides true or false values into if statements. So let's summarize 16 functions in one video. Challenging one. Watch this video carefully to understand and start using them. Let's start! Let's set up the case. To test our logical function, we are going to create several combinations of two values. We're going to start with something simple, when we're having both values are true. Next one, we're going to provide true as the first input and false as the second one. Now let's try something opposite. So the first is going to be false and the second one is going to be true. And the last one, let's take both as false. This is a setting of 4 cases that we are going to use to learn AND, OR, XOR functions. So AND function. It will return you true when all the values are true in the function. To create an AND function, you need to do the following. We're adding equal sign and insert AND word. Now we need to select first value and the second one. As we have both values true, we should receive a true statement here. If we are going to complete the full columns, we should see that the rest of the values are going to remain false. Why this happens? Because in each of the other 3 options, we are having false statement that is going in the opposite direction to AND logic. Moreover, we can do also the mathematical calculations that can be done as the following. We're going to take true and multiply it by the value number 2. So now we have received 1. As you remember from previous video, true means 1, false means 0. So multiplying everything by 0, you are going to receive 0 here. As a result, you can see that the AND function is equal to multiplying the values. OR function. It will return you true if at least one of the values that you are providing to the function is true. So now let's create an OR function. To do that, we add equal sign, enter OR, and selecting first value and the second one. So the first value is true because we have at least one trigger that is equal to true. When we're going to complete the full table, we should see that the second and the third variant is also returning us true. Because as you can see here, we have either first or second variant equal to true. That is more than enough for OR function to return a true statement. The only way to return false for OR statement is to provide all the values equal to false. As a mathematical equation, we can do summing the values. So if we are going to select the first value and add second value to it, we're going to receive 2. For the rest ones, we're going to receive 1 or 0. As you remember, false is 0. However, true is not always only 1. True is not 0. So in our case, 2, 1 are more than okay. So this is a way how we can get also the true statement based on OR conditions. XOR function. It will return you true if at least one value is true and another one is false. So let's create a function for it. We're going to select the XOR function and provide it with 2 values similar to the previous functions. As you can see, the first one has returned as false. That is because both values are true and we are not having a combination of different inputs. So if I'm going to complete the full table, you can see that only medium inputs are actually providing the true statement for XOR. This function is used less often than the previous two, but you need to know about its functionality. We are missing only one function left to complete this combination that is not function. And I'm going to create one to convert the first variable with not function. To do that, I need to insert it, and it accepts only one variable. So we are going to hit enter and complete the full column. As you can see, it just takes the opposite values from the logical perspective to the first option. So let's check this out. We have learned AND, OR, XOR, and NOT. 4 functions, rather good one. Let's jump further. Informational functions. There is a complex structure behind them. So each 12 function has a specific parameters that you need to provide them, so they will return you true or false values. And we're going to learn them by practice. So informational functions allow us to return the true or false statement based on the values that we are going to provide them. So they are checking the values and react to them. We're going to go through them one by one in whole sequence so that we are going to see how it reacts, how it completes each other, and what's the specificities we need to keep in mind in order to complete a solid if function. I have created already a case where we are going to test them all and we are going to change them on a go. So starting with 1, ISBLANK. This function returns us true statement if we are having a link to the blank cell. If we are going to insert into the cell any value, we are going to receive already a false statement. The next 3 functions checks for errors. First one is specific because it returns true for all errors except for NA or not applicable. We are going to check this out. So we have received it false. So the next function should return us the true statement because it is actually checking for all the errors. Please do not be confused with if error, because if error is actually an if function and it allows you to apply already a check for the error and provide an alternative way, while this function will return you only true or false statement. And the last one is only checking for one specific error, that is NA, and it should return us true. So this is the easiest way to check for the different types of errors. So now moving on to numbers. Numbers can be even or odd. Therefore, we are going to check for even. 2 is even, pretty obvious. And you already guessed that it's not odd. If we are going to change it to 3, we are going to receive just an opposite situation, because 3 is not even but odd. So the next function checks if reference we provided contains formula. Let's complete it and receive true. It returns us true because we are having a formula in this particular cell. If we are going just to make it equal to 3, it will return us false. Moving further, if it is logical. So is logical, checking, and it returns us true. If we are going to multiply false by, let's say, 1, we are going to receive a numeral equivalent, but the function will return us false because 0 is not false. Returning back and moving further. So the next several functions are going to check if we're having a text or non-text or a number. So the first function is checking that the information in a cell is not a text. So is not a text, selecting a cell, and it returns us true because 1 to 3 is not a text. Moreover, if we are going to select false, it's also going to be not a text because false or true conditions there are not treated as a text, but they are Boolean values. So moving further, is a number. and it will return us false because false is not a number. If we're going to return it to 1 to 3, it's actually in place. So the last one is text. This is pretty obvious that ISTEXT and ISNUMBER is opposite one. So if we are going to take text as input, we are going to see the first two functions returns as false, while the last one returns as true. And the last one is rather tricky because it's actually checking that we have provided to this function a reference. So as soon as we have inserted b14 to this function, it returns us true. If I'm going to return 1, so this is just exactly the same value we are having in a cell, you can see that the function returns as false because we have provided it not a reference. So that was informational functions. Learning them together and understanding how they are connected, you can see helps us to create much more complex functions and create our if statement extremely efficient. So this is your 16 functions to create a perfect condition for your if statement. If you found something interesting for you or learned something new, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel, because we are working to create more content for you every day. Cheers!